Welcome back to the Fem Health Podcast. Kira Love here today, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to my personal trainer, Bree. And Bree is absolutely gorgeous. I wish you could see her right now. The reason why I chose her as my personal trainer is because you can tell by looking at her phenomenal body that she definitely walks the talk when it comes to training and health and nutrition. But what I also really love about you, Bree, is you are so high vibe, and I love being in your energy and what that brings out for me in my training session. And I love that we're so aligned in our passion for helping other women elevate the energy in their world. So the reason why I have a personal trainer, by the way, is because, of course, when you work with someone who is the ultimate cheerleader and support, you're going to get so much more out of your session, even if you are a professional yourself. So, Bree, welcome to the Fem Health Podcast. Why don't you start by sharing a little bit with our audience about yourself and what you're passionate about?
First of all, wow, what an introduction. I love it. I honestly love the energy, the vibe that we have in our sessions. I think that when you find someone you connect with, it just changes the game and how much you enjoy the journey, how much you progress. And it just makes it so much more fun as well, which it should be. So I've been through a journey myself, but my biggest passion is helping women feel more confident in themselves, in their bodies, in their mindset, and just optimizing every area of their life. And that comes with the mindset, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, and just looking at it from a holistic point of view. And I have a group community page I call She Thrives, because that is my ultimate goal, is helping women thrive in absolutely every area of their life. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I personally was, when I was younger, very insecure. I was bulimic, had binge eating disorders, and going through all of that really forced me into this journey, and that I'm so passionate about helping women that have gone through that, have gone through self-esteem, confidence issues, all sorts of things as well. So I've been through it, and that's why I guess I love helping women come out of that, because I know how it feels to be in that moment, but I also know how it feels to come out of that and just completely transform yourself in every aspect.
Oh, I love that so much. You're definitely speaking our language. And I think often for women, their mess becomes their message. And I can relate to that. It was a health crisis in my early adult years that led me to the health and fitness industry and stepping back into my personal power, and then wanting to support other women to do the same. I must say as well here, Bree, you're actually our first guest on the podcast. So you have that honor.
Ooh, that's exciting.
And I just want to sing your praises. How old are you, Bree?
I'm 25.
25. So I'm 42, and it's not often that you relate to someone who is so much younger than you, but I do want to sing your praises because I'm always in awe of your emotional intelligence and your maturity at your age. And yeah, it's just really cool to find someone so young who's already on this life path and has discovered so much about self-leadership and personal power and taking care of your health and supporting other women to do the same. I think it's so amazing.
Thank you.
So, Bree, our mantra in our program is to age powerfully. And we have a lot of women who are either new to the idea of sculpting or new to the idea of lifting heavier weights as they come into perimenopause. We do have a group of younger women as well who are just excited to get, that sculpted lean body that they desire. But all in all, what I find is a lot of women feel really overwhelmed when they're stepping into this arena of strength training. So where should women start, do you think, when they're stepping inside a gym or lifting weights at home?
Yeah, so I definitely think it's really daunting, and especially if you've never done it before, no matter what age you are, it is scary. Just like anything new, it's one of those things that it's going to feel uncomfortable, it's going to feel icky, and there's going to be a little bit of overwhelm around it as well. And I think a big part of when you're first starting out is really just looking for guidance, because a lot of us, when we don't have the confidence around what we're doing, so like our technique, what machines do, what you should start with, the training program, and how to go about all these different aspects when walking into the gym, it creates a bit more resistance for you to actually go. And so I think something that's super incredible is like hiring a face-to-face coach initially. And this just like gives you peace of mind for you to go in. You're meeting someone there, so you get to show up with that person and you know that you're in safe hands. I like to think of it as like having training wheels to start off with. And it's kind of like, you're meeting that person, you've got that accountability, and that no matter what you're doing, you're going to be guided, and it's going to help you prevent injuries. It's going to help you do it correctly, more efficiently, and kind of clear out all the, I guess there's so much information and that clutter and that mess of like contradicting information out there, and it just makes you unsure of what to do, where to start. So having someone that's, I guess, like is walking the walk and you can see that they're doing that will help you go, cool, that's a physique that I want, that's a lifestyle I kind of want to live, and choosing a person like that based off your goals, to help show you the ropes before you then, take your training wheels off. But it just helps you gain that confidence in the gym, get comfortable in the gym environment so that, you can start to get comfortable doing the machines, knowing and trusting yourself with the technique that you're doing, and how to go about that so you avoid injury and, you're doing it more effectively, instead of wasting, 6-12 months of like, oh, I don't know, yes, no, maybe. But it clears that resistance and helps you show up for yourself in a better way. And you're going to see results faster in that way as well. So I love that, having accountability. I personally have my own coaches, just because it's nice to lean on someone as well. When us females, we get in our head a lot. So it's really nice to lean on someone when you're like, oh, but I'm putting on weight, or my weight's not budging, this, that, and the other. But it's like, when you are starting to build definition and see that toned, sculpted look, that your muscle weighs more than fat. So, you may keep the same weight, but your body is transforming and your body composition is actually looking better as well. So definitely starting with someone, even like a training buddy that may have been going for years, just having someone to kind of hold your hand and have those training wheels on to start with.
So many powerful points there. I think one of the challenges that women consistently face today is just time. And if you are going to be spending time training, you want to get the most efficient and effective results with that time. And I have to agree with you that working with a trainer is definitely the line of least resistance. They're going to help you lift more effectively, lift heavier. They're going to encourage you. I certainly feel more inspired when I'm working with you to work harder. You always squeeze out the extra juice. And the other thing I can really relate to, I have been not only an owner of gyms, but going to gyms for the past 20 years. And I recently switched up the gym that I was going to. And the new gym really does have the state-of-the-art equipment. And even I felt overwhelmed. I had no idea how to use all of these machines I had never seen before, because, they're really up to date with what's going on in the, training world. And my past gym was kind of behind the times a little bit, I realized. So definitely having that cheerleader, even when you are a professional, is so powerful, let alone if you're starting out. So I definitely agree with you on all of those points. Is there anything that you wish that you had have known in hindsight when you look back, when you first got started on your health journey?
Oh my gosh, yes. There are so many things, I think, but I'll try and keep it to a few. A number one thing I see with a lot of females and with my clients when they're first starting out is that all in, all out mentality. And you probably hear all the time, consistency is key and consistency is king. And whilst this is true, I think we take it too far and we like live by that and go, well, if I can't get consistent, then what's the point in doing it? So I think for a lot of people is going, cool, like yes, consistency is key, but don't try and overdo it. I think a lot of people try and get in 4, 5, 6 days a week, but it's like, what suits your lifestyle? What is going to allow you that consistency? And knowing that, if you do have a week where you're going on holidays or you're a bit run down or a bit overwhelmed, like, let that be okay and just get back into it the next week. And if that means it's 1 session a week, 2 sessions a week, strength training, then that's plenty and that's perfect, as long as you get that consistency within that. Because I think a lot of people go like 5 days and they'll go 1 day, then they'll skip a week, and then they'll go, try and get 3 days the next week. And I think allowing it to be like consistency with what works for you, and not trying to, choose to, not trying to do someone else's lifestyle that doesn't actually fit in with you, because then we fall off the bandwagon and we go, well, I have to be all in, so I guess I'm just not going to do it. So that's a big one I definitely see for females, especially.
The cool thing too, can I just insert there, the more that you do strength train and like you say, you find that routine for yourself, the more metabolically healthy and flexible you become. So when you do go on holiday for that week, it's not going to cause the same amount of damage, because you've got that healthy muscle mass, which is making your metabolism burn faster anyway. So it is, the most efficient way to maintain that healthy weight and still be able to have a little bit of flexibility and fun.
Definitely. I think that's where a lot of people get a little bit confused with cardio as well. Like, cardio can be a great tool, but at the end of the day, like, it's literally just like burning energy, which I definitely encourage everyone to do cardio for their cardiovascular health. But strength training is, as you age as well, where your body wants to start deteriorating and using muscle as energy, strength training is going to be super key to keep the sculpted look.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I would say is knowing that progress isn't always linear. And I guess that kind of taps off the back of the consistency, is like just allowing, yourself to have weeks where you may progress a lot, and then weeks where, it might just be maintained. And it's like life, right? There might be weeks where you're just like hustling and like trying to progress to that next level in whatever that may be for you. And then there's other weeks where you're like, I'm just kind of coasting and enjoying this period of time. So just finding that balance. And I guess as well with that is like enjoyment, and you've got to find a way that you enjoy it, because if you're not enjoying it, then you're probably not going to keep going. And whilst yes, it's really, really challenging during, and it can be tough, and I guess the hardest part is showing up, but going through the strength training, going through your workout, you'll be like, oh my God, at the end, like, yeah, I fucking did that. Mm-hmm. And I'm so proud of myself for it. Even though it was challenging, you feel so empowered after as well. So,
I love that. One of our sayings that we say a lot in business and in our programs is, you get to work out. You don't have to. And it gets to be fun. You get to move your body. And what a blessing that is. And just that mindset shift alone brings the enjoyment to the workout.
Yeah, I love that. That is so, so true. And then I would say the next thing would be nutrition. Nutrition is huge. And if you're not fueling your body correctly for the training that you're doing or your day-to-day life, you're really going to feel the effects of your energy. And that's going to affect, again, your consistency and also your progression. But yeah, also if you're for someone that's eating, I guess, like, let's just say like we duplicate 2 people of yourself. If one person was strength training and eating nourishing foods, eating enough protein, the body's going to utilize that and put it to good use. Whereas if the other version of you is eating, a lot of junk food and still strength training, you're going to get completely different body composition results, because your body doesn't know what to do with the crap that we put in our body sometimes, like all the processed foods, refined sugars, all that sort of stuff. So, definitely nutrition, supporting the strength training and supporting your lifestyle for energy, cognitive function. Like, you don't want to feel foggy, and the last thing you want to do is go to the gym because you feel a bit average. So nutrition definitely is going to be super important to support that. And I know, you love all your recipes, all the healthy recipes. which look amazing.
Definitely. You know, one of the things that I wish I had known in hindsight, and it's all perfect, the journey's perfect. I was really focused on healing and longevity in the beginning of my health journey. And I achieved that result with the way I was eating. But I would go and do a pump class and come home and have a green smoothie. And so in hindsight, I realized that I could have got more effective results if I had have really looked at my protein intake. And so that's something I wish someone had have really spoke into more for me in the beginning of my journey 15, 20 years ago.
Yep. And off that, I would say, just like as a good rule of thumb for most people, 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight is what you want to aim for. And that means like lean body weight as well. So, you know, if you're around like 20% body fat, then that's probably going to be a good rule of thumb for you.
I love that.
Yeah. And then I would also say start with the basics. There is too much information out there where you need to be taking BCAAs, you need pre-workout, you need this collagen powder, you need this, that, the other. If you focus on nourishing your body, getting enough protein, and getting some sort of daily movement in, that is plenty. And then, you know, the other things can come later. But to be honest, there is a lot of misinformation of how important those things are, and they're probably like less than 1%ers of the difference. And a lot of us being, you know, humans, we're not always going to ace our nutrition, always ace our training. So, you know, if that's going to be your main focus and you put all your energy into that rather than trying to look at other things, then that is going to get you so much further than trying to put like 5% into all these other areas.
I love that. I so agree with that. And so when it comes to women in the gym, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So are there any that you kind of want to speak into today to clean some of the misconceptions up with everyone?
Yes. One is weights make you bulky. So many people talk about this and are scared to lift weights. But the thing is with this is, like we touched on before, is it's going to be so much better for regulating your metabolism. The more muscle you have on your body, the more you'll actually be able to eat and sustain your body weight. It's going to regulate your hormones, and it's so good for your bones, your joints, your ligaments. And with the whole bulky look, it's like if you were at a good body fat percentage and you had a decent amount of muscle on your body, then you're not going to look bulky at all. You're actually going to look toned, defined, sculpted, which is what we all love. So if you do feel like you are, you know, feeling that bulky look, then more often than not, it's just like reducing the body fat down and you'll feel amazing. I think as well on that, it's the scarcity around like, oh, but I don't want to look like a man, but we do not have the same hormones or enough testosterone to get us to the point that a man has. Another one is cardio is the best way to lose weight. It's definitely not, as I touched on with weights, it's like it's great for burning energy and burning calories in that moment. But the minute you stop, you're burning less calories and you're probably eating the same amount. And cardio can be a tool to support weight loss, just like, you know, getting a certain step count to get enough movement in daily to manage your energy expenditure. And also it's super good for your health to keep moving and walking, and cardio is great for your cardiovascular system. But at the end of the day, to maintain your weight and a stable weight, strength training and having enough muscle on your body is super duper important.
It's so true. I love that you've mentioned this, because cardio is just not a big enough payoff for time and effort in terms of the result that it gets. And the way that I look at it now, because I'm definitely addicted to my beach walks, but what I realize, it's more the energy for the brain that I love for it, the grounding, the peace, the breath work that I get to do. It's like a walking meditation for me. And so that is very different to you trying to walk enough steps in a day to lose weight. It's just not the most effective way. And then another misconception, I meant to mention this before when I employed you as my trainer, I guess you could say that. I think one of the first things I said to you is, if you're going to make me do burpees, you're not my trainer.
I I actually remember that.
I had to check that with you first, because if I got myself in that situation, it wasn't going to be fun for either of us. So,
not at all.
But I remember the day, we used to employ, we had at one time 30 staff in our 3 studios on the Gold Coast, mainly men. And, and often men have a lot of misconceptions when they're training women as well. And they get them to do these really high intensity sessions that are so stressful and cortisol producing and so unenjoyable that you literally dread walking in the door. And I love how the industry has really moved or is starting to move away from that. And so I think it's really important that you interview different trainers to find your alignment, because although you definitely stretch me and I definitely reach my maximum, lifts with you, it's not mentally draining. I'm not scared to walk in the gym. I'm not dreading it. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the strength gains, but I'm not walking out stressed and exhausted.
Yeah. And off the back of that, my mum, she was like a cardio bunny, but she would yo-yo her weight so much.
That's that generation, right?
Yeah.
The aerobics. My mum used to do aerobics. I remember the leg warmers and the Reeboks and the
It's so good. Let's go back to that era.
Totally. Leotards. I'm going to wear a leotard to my next session.
Please do. We'll film it for you guys. But yeah, she would yo-yo so much. And then when I was like, I convinced her so much to get into strength training, now like that's pretty much all she does. She loves her the endorphin hit. There's nothing like a runner's high with that cardio side, and it's so good to incorporate. But yeah, she's stopped yo-yoing her weight ever since, and it's been like probably 6 years now, which is so cool. So it just goes to show how important, strength training is, for sure. I would also say machines are super incredible for beginners and when you're first starting out in the gym. They feel safe, they guide you, they're stable, you can load them, and there's a lot less risk for injury. So I would say that a lot of people shy away from machines as well, but as much as once you've learned how to do it, it's actually super duper beneficial for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even I have several injuries. So even though I know how to move and use free weights, I feel so much more supported in a machine, especially if I'm working out on my own.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say a lot of people think they need to shock their body. But the thing is we actually need to focus on consistency and gradual progression, because they're the key to seeing results, not constantly switching up exercises. We want to, see the progression in the weights, in your reps, in your sets, and really just push as much as you can. And I love the saying, excuse my French, but milk the shit out of it, because a lot of people try and change something every single week, but it's how can you track and how do you know that you're progressing?
I really want to highlight that, because I have been trying to really stress this point in our program, but it's really probably outside of what Instagram Reels is telling you to do, because Reels are all about how do I look the cutest and look really cool doing this fancy movement pattern where I'm working out multiple muscle groups at the same time. You're just not going to get effective muscle engagement for growth really by those movement patterns. And that's one thing that I've definitely changed up in my program, is really focusing on those compound movements, lifting heavier and mastering those. And I'm getting so much more burn in my metabolism, by the way, after working out in that way.
Definitely. I saw this post the other day and the guy was like, if fitness coaches or PTs posted their workouts every single day, people would be so bored, because it's just doing the same thing over and over again. So we can't just post our workouts, because people would be completely zoned out. Another thing, spot reduction. So many people I want to lose my belly fat, or I want to lose my thigh fat, or a big one is tricep, under the arm, tuck shop arm sort of thing. And I like to think of this as a balloon. I actually did this ages ago as an experiment, or just an illusion. Wow. I did this for an example. And basically I put a highlighter inside of a balloon, and the highlighter represented you as a human. And then I blew up the balloon a little bit, and the air inside the balloon represented body fat. And as you slowly let out air from the balloon, as you're losing body fat, it just comes off from wherever. And we can't reduce certain areas of body fat. It comes down to, unfortunately, genetics plays a big role, stress, where you hold your fat, and it just is one of those things that, you know, you can work on building more muscle around that area and reducing body fat. And usually the place that we don't like on ourselves the most is usually the one that comes off last, right?
So true. So are there some common mistakes that you see women making when it comes to their strength training?
Yes. So as I mentioned at the start, the all in, all out mentality, slow, steady, what you can handle is super duper awesome. And then a lot of people skip warm-ups and just go straight into it.
Ooh, I'm guilty of that one.
Are you? Yes. Oh, that's a secret you've been hiding. I always program all my clients to do stretching, activations, and abdominals. A lot of people do abs at the end of their session. And what we want is like, you want to be switching your abs on from the start. A lot of people feel that lower back take over. And this is just because a lot of us sit down for work and our abs get lazy. And then we've got tight hamstrings and that pulls on our lower back. And then it's a constant cycle of I'm feeling my lower back, I'm not feeling my glutes or the area that I'm trying to target. So definitely releasing those tight muscles first and doing a bit of a stretch. And then switching on the abs, doing some ab activation so that throughout the full session, you create that mind to body connection and the abs are working, protecting your lower back and keeping you stabilized. And then I love doing glute activations and, upper body activations just to get everything warmed up and reduce your risk of injury, but also really help you connect mind to body connection so that you're going to train more efficiently because you can feel the areas that you're trying to target for sure. So do not skip your warm-ups, Kira.
Great tip. I always warm up on your mornings because I know you're going to come in and see me.
You can tell. I can feel the energy. And then I would say not focusing on the weights on the scale. Like I said before, muscle weighs more than fat, and you may not see a difference in your weight dropping. It may just stabilize. But if we're doing photos and measurements, your measurements may be going down and your photos look better. You're looking leaner. Everything's tighter, a little bit lifted. And this is just because muscle does weigh more than fat. So as you're losing body fat, you're building muscle and that just stabilizes your body weight as well. And then I would say genetics. A lot of people... common things is like, oh, I want to look like her. I want to look like her. And where as females, we compare a lot. And I hate the saying, but I love the saying. It's like, stay in your own lane. When you can focus on you and where you're at and the progression for yourself, it's going to be a lot more of an enjoyable journey. Like we say, comparison is a thief of joy. And if you're constantly looking at other people's physiques that, their genetics are so different. Like one of my best friends, she has the biggest booty. Like it's ridiculous. And I had trained, like she was younger than me. So I'd been training longer than her. I used to do more sessions in a week than her. And I was spot on with my nutrition. And she was just kind of a bit like flexible dieting, which is so fine. But her glutes were just insane. And it just comes down to genetics and we can't keep comparing ourselves. So I think that's a big thing that women are guilty of for sure.
Absolutely. So true. And one of the things we've been speaking into a lot in our program in terms of mistakes that women are making, and I would love your perspective on this. And this, I'm going to emphasize this for perimenopausal women, but it relates to all women and it's not lifting heavy enough. So we've been talking a lot in previous podcasts about how as women age, we experience a decline over time in our muscle mass. And this goes hand in hand with the experience of an increase in insulin resistance because muscle is that primary disposal site of glucose. So if we lose muscle, of course, we're going to have more challenges with insulin resistance. And this is the underlying factor for that unwanted weight gain, even though nothing else has changed in a woman's life as she ages. So one of the mistakes that I made, or not necessarily a mistake, sorry, but one of the transitions I've had to embrace and one of the mindset shifts around aging powerfully with strength is really increasing the amount of load that I'm lifting in my strength sessions. And I was actually listening to some research the other day, and they were talking about some studies where they showed that when you are younger, because your body is so much more responsive, you can respond really well to more repetitions of a lighter load. But as you come into perimenopause, it is absolutely essential to keep the nervous system strong and responsive, and also to sustain that muscle mass in the body. It's so much more important and effective to lift heavier loads. And they were actually speaking into the ideal rep range being around 8 reps with 2 in reserve, which is a substantially heavier amount of load to lift than if you're working in the 15 to 30 rep range, which a lot of women do with their 2 kilos little dumbbells, right?
Little flappy birds.
So this methodology of increasing the load, which of course then has to go alongside making sure that you're eating enough protein so that you can, build that and muscle mass and sustain it, because also as you come into perimenopause, you're no longer digesting protein as efficiently and turning it into muscle. So if you do want to maintain metabolic health as you age, these are the 2 most powerful strategies to do so. Lift heavier, eat more protein. So I think one of the biggest mistakes women in this age category are making is that they only have so much time in the week to dedicate to their movement. And as we've said, they're choosing the wrong types of movements, followed up with not eating the right nutrition. So do you have anything to kind of add to that?
You really nailed that. That is so true. I also know that ending the workout with like a little bit of explosivity movement, so like something like, 20 seconds on, say, the battle ropes, ski erg, rower, even like sprints, and then having like 1 to 3 minutes rest recovery and repeating that 3 to 4 times is super good for pre and menopausal women.
I've been listening to the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that you have 2, but I'm also disappointed because you might introduce that into my session. When I listened to that, I was like, oh, okay.
Let's hope she's not listening to the same research I am.
Power is not my, I can do endurance forever, but power.
Yep. Hey, it's only like overall like 60 seconds work.
Yes. Okay. Well, okay. I can get my head around 60. Everyone can do 60 seconds.
Yeah. So that's super duper important. Yes, lifting heavy weights is super important. And like you said, reps in reserve. So you probably think you have like nothing left, but you probably have maybe 5 reps left. Could be 10, depends on who you are. So push that a little bit extra, get those shakes going. And those reps should start to slow down towards the end as your body is fatiguing. And then I would also say, when it comes to protein, I know a lot of people do struggle to digest it. And because protein is one of those foods that is, it requires a lot more energy for the body to digest, slow cooking meats is super duper incredible for you and so much better for your gut. It's already broken it down, especially if you can keep the bones in. That is super duper beneficial on your gut health, your gut microbiome. So slow cooked meats are important, as well as like I know some people with religious reasons or other personal reasons for not eating red meat. That is so fine. Disregard this, but to get enough iron in, it is super duper important to get a lot of red meat in. And for example, let's just say like a 200 gram steak has about 5.2 milligrams of iron. Females need about 18 milligrams of iron per day, and a lot of females are low in iron. So even if you had 3 steaks, you're still not hitting it. So this can be like a lot of women supplement it, but something like beef liver, I know this sounds horrible for so many people, but beef liver has like 100 grams of beef liver is 17.9 milligrams of iron. So it just goes to show the nutritional density of something like that. But I personally get it from like the organic butcher, and it's like 10% in like, sausages that I get. And like you can have like carnivore mince and things like that. But there are meats that are a little bit more dense in iron and nutritional value, like venison and game meats and things like that as well. But stick with slowly integrating in certain things and then go from there.
Yeah, I actually get these organic paleo beef sausages with liver because I don't, maybe I could now that I've had those, but the thought of just eating liver definitely doesn't float my boat. But the great thing is my daughter who's 16, she's very low in iron. She also has a thyroid condition. And so she loves the sausages as well. So we both had them for breakfast with our scrambled eggs. And, I get to support her because, the iron supplementation isn't ideal. It's not the easiest way to digest iron. And if you can get it in through your diet, that's obviously going to optimize your iron levels the best. So that's such a great tip.
Yeah, definitely.
So are there any kind of last tips you want to share about getting the most out of your training session? You've found 30 minutes to work out in your busy schedule. How would you get the most out of that time?
I would say compound lifts are incredible. So a compound lift example would be something like a deadlift or a hip thrust or even like a leg press. These movements are amazing because it targets the whole body and requires two joints to move. So most of these are your knees and your hip joint. And then it's recruiting more muscle groups versus something like a leg extension is just going to target your quads. So if you've only got a short amount of time, a great workout would be, a compound lift, a single leg movement, potentially an isolated movement. And then another one you can chuck in there if your goals are booty, you could do like an extra booty kind of exercise as well. Definitely compound lifts are going to be super crucial for a short time frame. But again, if you've got 30 minutes, like 30 minutes is still plenty of time if you're present in the gym and you're not scrolling on your phone or, distracted. Definitely 30 minutes is plenty of time.
So true. And actually, I just want to add in here because we've got a lot of women working out at home. Do you have any tips because obviously you've got to be very selective then in the weights that you've got and really understanding the importance of progressing the weights. So do you have any tips for any women who are at home doing their workouts? We have an at-home dumbbell workout plan, just so you know.
Mm-hmm. I would say another form of progression could be slowing things down, being a little bit more controlled, using tempo. So, a lot of people with like a lunge, they'll step back and kind of bounce their knee off the floor, which is not ideal, where you can go slower on the way down, pause at the bottom, and then controlled on the way up. And this is just going to make it a little bit more challenging if you do have, those weights, a limited range of weights. And you can superset as well. Supersetting is great. So if you're doing, like dumbbell lunges and then straight into like a dumbbell squat, it's going to help you fatigue more. Ideally, lifting heavier is the ultimate goal, but that's going to be super effective as well.
Beautiful. Well, one thing that we've dove into a little bit, but I want to make sure that we haven't missed any key points that you would recommend when you're adding strength training and you're tearing muscle fibers and you're really wanting to sculpt and define the body. You did touch on the importance of nutrition really underpinning that success. Is there any extra advice that you want to add in terms of pre-workout, post-workout recommendations?
Yeah, I would say definitely pre-workout for a lot of women. Eating before you work out is amazing, like at least 30 minutes before you work out. And it's just going to fuel your performance so much better. You're going to have more energy. You probably won't get those dizzy spells. And then making sure these foods have pre-workout is going to have carbs in it for sure. Obviously, you want your protein in there as well. Post-workout, same sort of thing. We just want to make sure that you're getting enough whole foods, fruits, vegetables, and with that, getting lots of diversity. I know a lot of us, it is super easy to get stuck in our ways, picking the same things, but definitely getting diversity in the different whole grains you get, different meats, different vegetables, different fruits, and getting diversity because all these different whole foods offer a range of different micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, all that. So we want to make sure that we're getting as much as we can from as many things as we can.
And one of the things I want to insert here, because we do have a fasting component of our program, but it's a flexible fasting guide in accordance with a woman's cycle. But one of the other areas of flexibility is if I am going for a beach walk in the morning, then I love to do that fasted. But I do want to make it clear that if I'm coming into the gym to do a session with you where I know that I'm going to be really lifting some heavy weights, I always have breakfast first. I always break my fast before I go into a heavy strength training session for sure. I definitely get a much better performance. It feels more fun. I'm more connected. And obviously that is going to equal better results from that time that I've spent with you as well.
Yeah. Low intensity exercise doesn't need to be fueled, but definitely strength training. You'll notice a big difference. You can trial it.
Yeah. And that's typically what I say to women, because a lot of women who love fasting, but they are doing their strength sessions early in the morning. And at the end of the day, there's not a one size fits all. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to listen to your own body and trial it and see which way feels best for you. And if you do love fasting, you can finish eating earlier in the day so that you can get up in the morning and eat before your training session, which is actually ideal. The longer that you leave before bedtime where you have a fast, the better sleep you're going to get, and the more energized you're going to wake up. Your body is going to rest and repair better. It's not always ideal with family life, but in terms of health goals, that would definitely be an ideal situation. Is there any tips that you've shared so much valuable gold with us? Before we wrap up, is there anything that we've missed that you would love to speak into?
I think I just want to highlight that you've got to enjoy this journey. And at the start, it's going to be hard. It's going to be overwhelming. It's all new. But a quote that I really love is, I'm going to bring it up because I don't want to butcher it. Working out will make you feel weak when it's actually making you stronger. Learning new things will make you feel dumb when it's actually making you smarter. Investing in yourself will make you feel broke when it's actually making you rich. And I love this because when you get into the gym, you're overwhelmed, you're learning new things, you feel silly, you feel stupid, but it is the first step to actually learning and growing and progressing. So just completely immerse yourself into that. I know it can feel icky sometimes, but I think having a training buddy sometimes, someone to go with, is going to help with that as well. If you don't have the ability to have a personal trainer in whatever circumstance that is, but definitely finding a way that you can make it more fun and enjoyable, because you're going to stick to it and you're going to see better progress because of it.
Oh, I love this so much. Ladies, your perspective is either your jail or your passport, and it literally is about stepping into your personal power and choosing the story and the perspective you're going to lead yourself from, because overwhelm is just a story. It's a belief system that is chosen. And as much as we can lean into overwhelm, we can also lean into, this is exciting, this is new beginnings, this is an adventure. And the unknown gets to be an adventure, and it gets to be fun if that's the perspective you want to orientate in. So we really encourage you and cheerlead you to step into the ultimate self-leadership, because I can certainly say that the style of training that I'm doing now through the Sculpt program, it's not only changing my life and my mindset, but I'm having so much fun with it. Whereas in the past, I did feel a lot of resistance and overwhelm around it. I loved my Pilates and my yoga and my beach walks. But the reality is, as I get older, I really do want to age powerfully, and I want to age with ease, grace, and flow. And I want to take control of the things that I can control in that process. So Bree, if people are looking for a trainer, because I know that you do some online stuff as well as in person. So I'm assuming you may even have clients who aren't on the Gold Coast, but where can people find you if they'd like to?
Yep. You can find me. My best spot is at Coached by Bree on Instagram and Facebook, but I love sharing valuable tips, nutrition tips, mindset tips, training tips, all of that jazz on there. So definitely have a little binge of my content, and I honestly know that you'll learn so much from it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your valuable knowledge and energy with us today. We really appreciate it.
It's been an absolute pleasure.